Hello everybody and welcome to my predictions video for the Yu-Gi-Oh! Feature Festival coming next week on Jumputi Heroes. It will of course be the Battle City Arc Feature Festival, and it's our first Yu-Gi-Oh! Feature Festival. We had a little event before that was based on a completely different part of Yu-Gi-Oh! This, we're talking about Battle City, and I've kind of been torn about who I would actually include in this, so we're going to talk through it. Before we get into it, I would like to mention two things. Number one, there will obviously be spoilers for Battle City in this video. I'm not going to go too in depth on anything, so you're not going to get spoiled too much, but if you haven't read the arc, might be an idea to maybe not watch this one until you have. And number two, during this video, I will be using the English names of the characters, the translations that have been used by the anime and the games. However, going forward after this video and on the database and on news posts and such, you will be seeing the Japanese names, mainly because it's probably what we should be using, because this is we're basing our database entries off the game, and the game is obviously based off the manga, and even the English version of the manga uses the original Japanese names. It doesn't use the English translation names. So even though, if you've had any experience with Duel Links or with the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime or any of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Games that have come out, you will be used to the names that were given to those characters by, say, 4Kids and the localization team. We're going to be using the Japanese names because that's what they use in the officially localized manga. But today, just the English names because why not? So, what are the obvious points, characters that should be included in this? Well, of course, the limited is going to be Yugi. Yugi with Sly for the Sky Dragon. I've said before that I do feel a bit strange about certain series. It's like only the protagonist that seems to be the limited ever. And, you know, it's okay once or twice. I think this is probably fine, to be honest, because it's only the second limited Yugi, so it should be fine. It's not like some other series where we're going to keep going back to that pool of, oh boy, another limited whoever this is. Like I don't know. I do feel like it's nice if they mix it up, if it's not just the protagonist every time. But this is only the first ever feature festival. This will only be the second ever limited Yugi, and it's an actual legitimate point in the series where you would turn him into a limited with his god card. It makes sense. I think everyone seems to agree on that. The question would be, will he be the only limited? The target I set myself for these predictions is 8 characters. I've gone as far as 8 characters and 2 legend summons, which is about what we got for the Dragon Ball event, and 8 characters is about what we've had for almost every feature festival and such this year. It seems to be their target this year, 8 characters, which I think is fair. 8 characters is plenty, really. We could see 9. They could push to 9, or they could, you know, they could definitely do some variations on what my predictions are going to be today. But I think that the unquestionable first step is the limited Yu-Gi-Moto, and I don't think there's going to be a second limit. I think there could be. I think there's definitely an argument for a lot of different options, and one that comes to mind is, of course, Seto Kaiba with Obelisk the Tormentor. The issue with that is the thing they showed us during the anniversary, which was the roadmap for the rest of this year up until October, that clearly seemed to show that Seto Kaiba would be added as a tower limited character. And I've said this before in other previous event predictions and analysis and stuff. They do seem to have made a conscious decision at some point, potentially when the new developer, or rather the new producer, took over, that they would cut the number of characters in each event. And I think potentially that Kaiba was due to appear in this event, and they said, we're cutting the number of characters in this event. Kaiba's gone. We will add him later. We've already made the character. We'll add him later. So he can come out when we need a character later in the year, when we need new Tower Limited. So he'll come out, I think that was in August. So he'll come out then, and his content for now won't be in this event. Which, you know, fair enough, that makes sense. And that definitely would go in line with some of the other things we've seen, like, for example, certain characters appearing on Tier 1 first that you would argue make a lot of sense to appear on JP at the same time, and little bits like the One Piece 1000 Logs event, certainly containing content that some people would argue could have been in the previous One Piece event, and then that's been mixed about. So they've definitely made some choices as to what's going to get cut from each event and how they're going to use that later. And maybe for some series they thought, look, I mean, we don't have to make 10 now. We were aiming for 10 almost every event last year. Let's just make 8. So for some series they will just get their 8 and be done with it. I think We Never Learn is probably an example of that. They've got their 8 and that's it. But any of the events they had ready, I think prior to that, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is probably a good example, because we knew this was coming for a very long time. I have a feeling those characters were cut. So we'll see Seto later, and he won't be featuring in this event per se. However, it's important to note there are 8 characters in the Battle City Finals, so you could argue that the 8 characters we get in this feature festival should probably be those 8 characters. But by taking Seto out, that leaves us with 7. We've got to put someone else in. And that's actually where this gets really tricky, because I don't know who to pick. We'll talk about the standard gacha. I've gone for 3 characters, which I think is similar to how a lot of events have been handled this year. Similar to, like, say, We Never Learn. Not We Never Learn. Promise Neverland. Or Katekyo Hitman Reborn. There's been a few series with the 3 standard gacha, even Naruto. And I think number 1 slot, Joey Wheeler. Don't think anyone's going to argue with me on that one. He is the undisputed MVP of this tournament. I don't exactly remember how it was depicted in the anime, but in the manga, he is the outright MVP, god-tier duelist of the tournament. And he only loses to Marek because the plot. It's literally just the plot. He literally is standing there about to win. Like, as far as the rules of the game, he is about to win. And he's just been, like, shadow gamed into oblivion, and he's got no stamina left, and he just faints, and he basically dies. And then he comes back later, but that's not important. So, Joey has to be the standard gacha slot number 1. Now, there is a bit of a weirdness with Joey, and it kind of applies to Yugi and Seto as well. And that is, version 1 Yugi is Battle City Yugi. Version 1 Joey is Battle City Joey. Joey's event for his evolvers is even called, like, Joey's Road to Battle City Finals or something like that. So, I guess with Joey, we're just going to have to say version 1 Joey is like the earlier battles, and then the Joey we're going to have in the finals is going to be a different standard gacha version, and a proper standard gacha version, not a 4-star that evolves into 6-star later. An actual 5-star, 6-star unit, which, please be good. Please be good. I want him to be good. On his gacha, 2 other characters, of course. I've gone with my Valentine. It makes sense for her to be in there. She hasn't been added to the game yet, but she plays a big enough story role that I feel is given that she'll be added eventually. And I see no reason why, with the options we are given, she would not be the standard gacha. That just seems obvious, and I think she's quite popular, so should be good. Now, the final slot, I didn't know who to put. I didn't know who to put. There's a lot of potential candidates, but so many of the characters are like backgrounds, not like important to the story, but not like front and center. Especially in this arc in particular. That's another thing. Like, this is the Battle City arc event. You kind of want the characters that play a big role in this arc, and if a character plays big roles in other arcs, they should really be safe for when those events have those arcs have feature festivals or whatever. So I've gone with Tristan, which I don't think is a strong choice from me. I think he definitely deserves to be added to the game. I think he is definitely worthy of being standard gacha. But maybe for an earlier arc. Maybe not for this arc. And that's the issue I'm having here. I'm kind of thinking I've overstepped a little there. And if I'm being realistic, change that to 2 standard gacha. Make Tristan an event unit. Or you could even make... I mean, there's a few options for event units. But you could make Tristan an event unit instead of a standard gacha, and I think that would be fine. Have the 2-sided standard gacha, which they did in Dragon Ball, but I feel like they side more with the 2-side standard gacha when they're going to have 2 limiteds. That's not like a always the case sort of thing, but typically speaking, if they do 2 standard gacha, it's with 2 limiteds. And now you could make an argument that if Seto was going to be the limited and he's been cut, they might not have changed the gacha. In which case, Joey would be the first gacha unit, Mai would be the second, and that would be that. And then we just wouldn't get Kai, but he'd be safe for later. In which case, fair enough. I could, you know what? I could actually back that. So, you know, I'm actually going to change this on the fly, and I'm going to change him to an event unit. So, limited Yugi, gacha, Joey and Mai. Let's talk about the event units. We've actually got quite a lot here, and I think that's fair because if you look at the time frames, I think this event has to take up the majority, well, like 50% at least of June, because it starts on the 31st of May, and then we've got Kenshin afterwards. So this is probably going to be a solid 2-week event at the minimum. But we've got a lot of events. We've got a lot of stuff to do. So, first things first, Catastrophe event, Marek Ishtar. That one's obvious. I think everyone agree with that? Marek for the Catastrophe? I have heard some people say it'd be really cool if he was like a Genkai battle or if he had some kind of unique event because that's the kind of character he is. I mean, Marek really could have 3 potential versions. I would argue he's easily got like a standard event-worthy version, which is the non-Yami Marek, and then you've got Yami Marek, who would be the Catastrophe, and then you've got like the weird corrupt form Marek, which arguably could be like a Dark Heroes limited or something. But I think as far as limiteds for Dark Heroes come from Yu-Gi-Oh!, Bakura is definitely a stronger pick for that. He's more of a long-term villain. So whatever, but for now, just one version of Marek, and there he is, Marek as the Catastrophe. Then I think 2 Transcendent class events, another 2 members of the finals, Ishizu and Odeon. We need Transcendent class events to pad out the event, so they will do. They will do. And then I think we should have an event that does add a new version of Bakura. Remember, the version that we've got is a gacha version, and that is from the game in the much earlier arcs of Yu-Gi-Oh, which is like Dungeons and Dragons. I can't remember what it's called, but it's a dice game. It's a board game. So it's a completely different version of Bakura. We want a duelist version of Bakura, and I mean, probably it would just be an ultimate class event. Arguably, you could do something similar to what happened with the Promised Neverland event, where there was a Transcendent class event and then there was like a Catastrophe bonus stage. And then you can get the costume for Bakura, because I really do want Bakura to have a costume. But I think more likely is an ultimate class event, and that's fine. Also an argument for the Ryo Bakura, the actual normal character, not the Yami Bakura, to be some kind of event character. That would also be cool, and I would actually say if this event wanted to be a Catastrophe event, or like, you know, something equivalent, and have the like corrupted form of Yami Bakura as the boss, but you don't obtain him from being it, you just get the standard Ryo Bakura as an obtainable character, and then Yami Bakura saved for a later feature festival as a limit or whatever. I would be down for that. I would be down for that. And then the last two events I've got listed here. A legendary quest event, because we seem to be getting a lot of those. Remember, legend summons are a lot easier to make than brand new characters. So I expect to see legendary quests show up in almost every feature festival. And this legendary quest is the Light of Memories. That's what they call it in the manga anyway. And that is when Yugi is dueling Seto Kaiba, and then when the two god cards attack one another, there's like a moment where they see flashbacks to their battle back in history. You could also make this like, instead of the Light of Memories, you could make it like the prophetic slab or whatever it's called. At the start of the arc, it shows up quite a few times during the arc in flashbacks and stuff, so that could also be the legend summon. And the whole point of this is to have a stage where you're fighting against the Obelisk, the Tormentor Seto Kaiba, which we know exists because we've seen it on the timeline, but not obtainable. Instead, he gives us the legend summon. So it'll be an opportunity to see this character, but we know he's coming later. They've done this loads of times before, so I think they'll probably do that again. And then the final event, I'm going to say, this event could be on for basically the entire duration of the feature festival, and this could be the journey to the Battle City Finals, a points event. We always need a points event. We always need something extra to farm. And the idea of this event would be there'd be various duelists for you to fight. Maybe because we don't have many duelists as actual characters in the game, they could choose characters that sort of fit the theme of whoever's deck it is and pretend it's like one of their monsters or something. That'd be kind of cool. And then we can collect life points by beating them. So you beat them, they have however many life points, you beat them, and you get those points for yourself. And for every 4,000 points you collect, you get a locator card. Collect all 10 locator cards, just like in the Battle City Finals. Collect all 10 and you get yourself a position in the finals. And I think it would be cool if that gives us you know, various rewards, tickets, jewels, costumes, etc. And I think the costumes, it would be good if they gave us a version 1 Yugi costume and a version 1 Joey costume. Again, probably just like an aura costume, not like a complete switch up costume, just like a little glow like we had it during this event, this We Never Learn event. And I think they're going to give us version 1 Yugi for free, because it's been long enough, and they gave like Emma and Senku and characters like that for free. I think they'll give us version 1 Yugi for free. Probably not Bakura for free as well, but definitely version 1 Yugi. And then they can give us like some chat stamps as well. They've done loads of chat stamps this year. Again, much easier to make than a new character, so give out lots of chat stamps. And then, if you could also trade those life points in at the store for various luxury items, and maybe we can have another legend summon in there. I've gone with the Dark Magic Attack because technically that's like the last big moment of the arc, so that might make sense as a legend summon, because it's not really going to be represented in the character of Yugi, because Yugi's focus is going to be Life of the Sky Dragon. That being said, the version 1 Yugi we have is Dark Magic Attack. It is the Master and Student Dark Magic Attack, but it's from earlier in the arc, I believe. It's not from that fight, so it should be fun. It should be fun, and you'll get like the level up materials and stuff as well. And yeah, other than that, I don't know. I don't think there's anything else. I think that would be a pretty solid event. There definitely could be arguments made for other characters to make their appearance. Joey's sister, Duke Devlin, the different versions of Bakura and Marek. Maybe a new version of Taya. I mean, I don't know. There's Mokuba. You can make an argument for Mokuba. Any of the battles that happen in the lead up to the finals, you can make an argument for any of those. I think it's also possible that we could see the separate cards as separate legend summons. As I mentioned, having Seto Kaiba be the boss for the other legend summon. Instead of that, you could well do 3 separate stages, maybe one fighting Marek, one fighting Kaiba, and one fighting I think his name was Strings, the rare hunter guy. Fighting those 3 and the resulting 3 legend summons being the 3 god cards. That would be kind of cool. Regardless, I definitely want to see a stage where we fight this Kaiba, regardless of how it comes. Even if he's not going to be obtainable in this event, which I have a feeling he won't be obtainable in this event, it just comes down to me wanting to see a preview of the Kaiba before he gets released later on in the year, and B, I would also like to see the scrapped stage, which was the Sky Jewel Arena. That stage was supposed to be added way back, and when I say way back, when the original Kaiba was added, he was added as a battle rush. He was actually intended to be one of the first Unity battle bosses before things got changed around right at the start of the game. And so him, Shinseijiro, and Orochimaru all had stages made for them that in the end didn't get used because those bosses didn't get made into Unity battles. They instead got made into battle rushes, and all the battle rushes, as you all know, have the same sort of dojo-esque background. So they had no need for the Sky Duel Arena or any of those other stages. So this would actually be the first time we see it, which would be pretty cool. So I'm hoping that we do see it, and I'm also hoping that if we do get a chance to fight against the new Kaiba, maybe we get a preview of what his skills look like and stuff. That would be cool. Bit hard to say though, but I think I'm gonna leave it at that. Mainly focused on the finals, but you know, I think that's okay. I think that's okay. And yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Who do you expect to see? And will you be summoning? Are you looking forward to Yu-Gi-Oh! And will you be summoning? But that's gonna do it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time.